Hey, it's your boy Jose from Big Meat Sports, and look who we have here, Mr. Dunk himself. Oh yeah, got my boy Dunk.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, hey, long time coming. First time I believe on the show. No, actually, you did some promos, but really being on the show, you haven't been on the show, so your first time on. Welcome. Dunk is our, when I mean statistics guy, and basically our college guy, our high school football guy. This, Dunk with his knowledge of football and all sports, it brings what it brings to the Big Meat Sports. We can, thank you enough for it, and glad to have you on. How you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be on. We'll talk about what we saw last night, and yeah, man. Let's chop it up.
Okay, so we're gonna chop it up on what happened last night, the Super Bowl versus Tampa Bay and Kansas City. What do you think of the game? Do you think it was something of more of Kansas City doing wrong, or Tampa Bay just pushing all the right buttons?
Um, I mean, I think it was more Kansas City. I mean, we knew what Tampa Bay was going to bring. We knew Tampa Bay already had a fierce pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kansas City looked like they didn't even account for the fact that they were down, both tackles.
Yeah,
They didn't even try to, you know, they love throwing the deep ball, but that takes time.
yeah,
So I thought they would at least try to implement sort of what Brady had ran in previous seasons with the Patriots. Short passes a little bit, just to kind of loosen things up. But they just kind of stayed status quo, and it bit them.
yeah. And I feel like what Tampa Bay's defense was doing is to eliminate Tyreek Hill, not to get bombed, and let Kelsey get his touches and yards. But at the end of the day, Kelsey's not beating you for 60 or 70 yards for a touchdown. Kelsey is one of
Right.
those workhorses that'll take you down the field. I think that's what happened. That Tampa Bay's defense, and I think you alluded to it, that Tampa Bay defense is more of a blitzing defense, but you didn't really see them blitz that much yesterday. I feel like their four-man front went after the quarterback and was able to get to Mahomes a lot of the time. Uh,
Yeah, that was definitely the key. The key, because like Mahomes is like, I believe he's the number one quarterback against the blitz.
mhm.
So they just played it straight with their front four, and it really just sat everybody back. They played two deep safeties, and they were just willing to give up everything underneath. I believe they played a cover two,
Hmm.
and they just dared them to be patient, and to keep everything in front. But I thought it should have been more passes to the running backs, things like that. But like I said, it just didn't seem like with that extra bye week that
Hmm.
they schemed up enough. But
Yeah, and I
but yeah,
and I you gotta give it a credit to that Tampa Bay defense. They've been hearing the chatter all week, and what Tyreek Hill did the first meeting against them, having over 200 yards the first half, and they put it they put it on them.
yeah,
And you can see Whitfield throwing up the peace sign, the cheetah, getting him back and stuff like that, and the
yeah,
trash talking. But to me, how would I say? And we talked about this last night, because since you're over, we're watching the Super Bowl, and I don't think I think Tom Brady at the beginning was doing a great job of setting them up to score, but he didn't really have to do much. I think what they were so balanced on
hmm,
on offense, that it was the running game was working, the quick passing game. They didn't really take that much chances down the field, and it's methodically worked down the field to score all their touchdowns. And yes, the GOAT conversation is always going to come up and stuff like that. I know that you're not a fan of the Brady the GOAT, because of the assistance that he has had and the schemes that he has run. But to me, there's always there's always going to be that discussion. It's a great discussion.
hmm,
But to me, I think Tom Brady is got to be one of the GOATs, because you know time in, time out, he's been put in situations, and I know that when you say schemes and stuff like that, I understand, but he can't help it. I mean, I've seen what I see Tom Brady do with some of the wide receivers, with no-name wide receivers that he has, and he has put them in great position to succeed. And you can see what happened with, the Patriots this year. Cam couldn't, which Cam is a different. We're not saying Cam is Tom Brady, but he couldn't work with the receivers that he had last year, and they couldn't gain separation. I think Tom Brady is just more his knowledge of the game and to help out people in certain situations.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm not a Tom Brady fan at all, but Tom's intangibles, it separates him from a lot of the other, quarterbacks. You can never count the man out. I give him that. And he's awesome. I'm not saying he's not good. If I have to pick a quarterback all time, he's just not going to be the first person that I pick. I mean, no matter how many Super Bowls that he wins, that's just how I feel. But, I look at it like this. All right. And he did bring a lot of what Tampa Bay did this year is what he brought over from New England, but I look at it like this. Like, I look at both sides. I said, look, last year, Winston threw for over 5,000 yards. So it's not like Tampa Bay's offense was trash before he came there. Yeah. They just were undisciplined. Those 30 plus those interceptions that Jameis threw. With Brady, Brady's best thing. He's never going to beat himself. You have to beat him. So he's not sloppy. So that's one thing that you have to give him. He's not going to put the game in jeopardy. And that was the whole case. Like with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are so used to coming back against people, but people give them the chance because they get sloppy with the ball. They turn it over. If you get down to Brady, it's hard to come back because more than likely you're not going to get the ball. You're not going to get.
We saw it. We saw it with all those, stupid penalties that they're, incurring in the first half. And me and you were like, it's setting up for, Brady to win this, and they want to win Brady, because some of those penalties were just stupid. Even though some of them were questionable on like the pass interference and this and that, but you can't make that mistake, versus Brady and the Bucs. Which and I agree with this Super Bowl. I would say Brady's easiest because of the situation he came into. He didn't, he's coming into a high-powered offense that was high-powered last year. And they added a couple more key weapons, and especially having Gronk, helped solidify that on the offensive side and in their defense. So he came into a great situation. It's not the main like reason. I think people would be more impressed if he did it with like a Detroit Lions or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
Then you're not, I get what you're saying on that. So.
No, but I mean, look, he still did a phenomenal job. I mean, he went there still, I give him props. Your first year, new coach, new system, which, Arians allowed him to, sprinkle some stuff in. I mean, Arians doesn't really run play action and all that, but you saw little by little as the season, went on, Tom was able to, have more say, and it worked out for him, man. It worked out for him, and then, he just has that aura about him. Like, he wants to win so bad. You could tell, like, the defense started to play better as the season went on. And, I mean, shit, they haven't even lost since, it was a minute. Like, since probably, I think Kansas City probably was the last game that they lost, right? No.
Yeah. No. Was it? No, it was New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. After that,
that
was it. So they went on, they just haven't lost since. They went on the road in the playoffs, won every game. They beat good quarterbacks. So you got to tip your cap to them, man. I'm just not it's probably because I hate New England too. So, but nah, man, the man's good. He's just, I just feel like, I feel like if Aaron Rodgers could pick his team, if Aaron Rodgers got more say with the Packers, I feel like, he'd have more like, man, success. Is just, but, at the same time, Brady earned it, I guess with his time in New England, he just earned that. So, it is what it is, man. Tampa Bay going to be riding high, and it looks like they're not going away no time soon.
Yeah, it doesn't look that way. And we'll see. But do you think it's the recipe. They showed the recipe of success versus the Chiefs, or is this the Chiefs that had a bad game, and you think the Chiefs will be back to the promised land next year?
Chiefs will be back. You don't go that long. Look, one game is not gonna
To fire?
it's not and they're different than how the St. Louis Rams were. You know, the St. Louis Rams when they lost to the Pats, they never kind of bounced back, but they were a whole different animal. You know, Casey is young. Pat Mahomes is way younger.
Yeah.
You know, than Kurt Warner. He's way better than Kurt Warner. And you also have Andy Reid still going to be there. You know, I think after they lost, you know, Dick Vermeil left. It's just, it's totally different, man. I mean, trust me, Kansas City isn't going anywhere, but I believe this will teach the whole team, including the coaches.
Yeah.
You have to change, man. Like, you know, one thing I loved about the Patriots and Brady when they were going through the dynasty was that, you know, they would switch it up. They didn't care. One game they might run it 50 times, one game they might pass it 50 times. This game, Kansas City should have tried to run, at least try to run, you know?
Yeah.
And they didn't, you know, just to keep that rush honest. And they had success, but they didn't do it enough. And, you know, when you got...
They're rushing. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. It has the Tampa Bay rushing, which went over 100 yards, but I have I think they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire had like 60 something yards, and some other people had like 10, 15, but they didn't stick to it. You know, Kansas City, you know, they don't. That's one thing I think that hinders them is they get away from the run too quickly.
Exactly. That's always been an Andy Reid team, though. Even in Philly, you know, he never sticks to the run, but when you have those two deep safeties, you got to run them up out of that. If you keep running, they're going to drop when those safeties down, and then you take your shots. You know, so that's what happened. They didn't stick with it and make the Bucs change. You know, the Bucs dictated this game the way it was going to go. You know, like whereas the first game it was just opposite. You know, the Chiefs had the Bucs chasing the whole night. You know, but yeah, man, you got to establish the run. I don't care if it's a passing league, but you got to establish the run just to get that respect, you know?
Yeah, so, but we'll see. I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was a Super Bowl that lived up to the hype. A lot of people were disappointed on the outcome. I think more people wanted a shootout or something, a closer of a game. I think everything was disappointed with the Super Bowl. Everybody's talking about the halftime show, and they didn't like the halftime show, and everything, so on and so forth. So we'll see what comes up next year. But again, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of winning Super Bowl. What is it? 45, right? 45 or 55? 55. Something like that. Yeah, so congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me do one thing because it got real dark in my house, so I'm going to turn on the light real quick. So hold on.
All right.
There you go. There we go. Now you guys can see me on this podcast. Got a little forehead, got a little brighter on that one, so it got really, really dark all of a sudden. All right, so our next topic that we're going to talk about the NBA and the Miami Heat. A lot of people are Heat fans on this podcast. We're not going to talk about the Lakers since JC is off this podcast, and you know, give him ample enough time to come on this podcast. And he's not on it, so we won't talk about the Lakers today, but we'll talk about the Heat. It's been struggling this season, to say the least. With people being out with COVID, people being injured, and it hasn't been, you know, the Heat team that we saw in their finals run last year. And it's been, you know, and I discussed it, and we discussed it, you know, how, you know, and talk about, you know, discussing it. If you guys didn't pay attention to the last podcast, you know how I said, you know, there's always a friend in my corner talking about, you know, I think last season was a fluke. Well, this is that friend in Dunk right there. He's the one that says, you know, I think last season was a fluke, which, you know, it's looking that way, and it's proven Duncan right. But what do you think that the Heat team overall needs? Do they need a change in personnel, and who would you think they need to go out and get?
they the Heat need a good wing. Like they need somebody to complement Butler, man. You know, Butler's awesome, but he's not. You know, he's more like a pace setter. You know, it's not like he's going out, you know, dropping 25 and 30 every night. You know, he's mainly just trying to set up the team. You know, he keeps everybody motivated, but you need somebody like a Beal. You know, and I know we've been hearing about, you know, the Heat want to trade for Beal, and you know Beal wants to stay with the Wizards, but we need some more explosiveness, man, some more athleticism. You know, you can see Spoelstra keeps tinkering with the lineup. You know, he has a Hero coming off the bench. But yeah, man, we just need some more athleticism, bro. That's the main thing. I don't think we have enough athleticism out there, you know, to really compete with teams that can really run up and down. You know, I like some of the picks that we have. You know, Precious and you know different players. You know, they've been providing a little spark here and there, but we need a bona fide scorer, man. That's the main thing. We need a bona fide scorer because you know you have Bam's not aggressive all the time.
Yeah,
and Butler, he's an alpha, but he's not like a shooter. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. We need a real scorer on the Heat, and then I think they can take that next level.
And as Butler has come back in with these 5 games, and I'll read the stats to you. In the 5 games that he's been back, he's averaging 21 points, 8.4 rebounds a game, and 8 assists. This guy's doing everything for the Heat. And I feel like, you know, I know the record hasn't really shown it, but man, it must be frustrating for him knowing that he's doing everything and they're still losing. And I think they do need somebody else. And I've alluded to it in other podcasts, you know, of getting probably Buddy Hield that knows, you know, he wants to get out of Sacramento. Buddy Hield is a sniper. This guy can do it all and play the defensive side. You know, I wouldn't mind Victor Oladipo and PJ Tucker, which, you know, Houston has said that they want to, you know, trade Victor Oladipo before the offseason because his contract is up. And PJ Tucker, I believe they want to move on from PJ Tucker, but I wouldn't mind PJ Tucker because one, he's a solid body. He's not going to get bullied down there, you know, in the paint. I see him more of like a Jay Crowder situation where he can cover the big guys down there, and he's the sniper from 3-point, and especially that corner 3. You always see PJ Tucker hit that corner 3. So I do think that, you know, they need somebody else. Bradley Beal says he wants to stay in Washington. I know in the offseason they were saving money for Giannis, and Giannis has already said that he's staying in with the Bucks and he's not going anywhere. So I just think that the front office needs to do something for Jimmy Butler because, I mean, Jimmy Butler and Bam, but more of Jimmy Butler is like pouring their heart and soul and doing everything they can, and it's just not working for them right now. So,
yeah. I mean, the season's it's still early, man. Like we were talking about before, you know, the records are so bunched up that if Miami can just go on a little streak, they can climb, you know, in that 4 to 5 range pretty quick. Because you know, man, this year's been crazy with COVID and you know everything. So I'm not out on the Heat. I just didn't feel like. I just feel like you know, in the bubble, you saw a lot of teams kind of overachieve, and I feel like they were kind of in between that. I don't feel like they were like ready for the finals, but they're definitely better than what they're showing right now. So everybody, I definitely expect them to go to the playoffs. If we don't make the playoffs, I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised.
And talk about they're 1 game out of 8th place. So the team that is ahead of them is the New York Knicks. So if they beat the New York Knicks on Tuesday, that means that they'll be tied with the Knicks and they'll have the advantage over the Knicks. So they're 1 game out of 8th place, 2 game back of 5th place. So that's why I was saying, you know, it is bunched up. They're going on a 7 rate after the Knicks game. They're going on a 7-game road trip. So we're going to see how that plans out. That's the West Coast trip that they always go on, that they're going to be playing both LA teams, Utah, Houston, so on and so forth. So we'll see what the Heat can do in these next few games. But people are going to say, well, they won the last two games. Well, it was versus Washington and the New York Knicks, which the New York Knicks have been playing really great ball as of late.
They have.
But they're not that elite. You get what I'm saying? They're not those top tier teams which that we're going to be facing in LA. Right. Both LA teams and the Houston. So we're going to see after this road trip what they're made of. And I do have to make a stat correction or a correction on my last podcast. I told everybody that the Heat season was, going to end soon in March 4th. That's actually the first half of the season. The second half, they go on an all-star break, and they're the second half of the season, which is around 20-plus games. And that schedule hasn't been put out yet from the NBA. Once that schedule puts out, then we'll see, how many I know it's going to be 20-plus games, but how they're going to schedule it, are they going to make it more competitive? That's why I don't get why they haven't put out the second part of the schedule.
They haven't put it out because of COVID. They were worried about, maybe having to postpone a few games, things like that. So they wanted some flexibility. So that's the main reason that I heard that, they were waiting to see, how they were going to do the second half of the season. So, COVID has everything. It's looking crazy, man.
Yeah, I get you on that one. But hey, look, I'm still riding with my Heat, and me and you. I know you're a betting guy and stuff like that. But I know that you're still riding with the Heat. Is this our frustration? Our frustration levels that we know that there's potential there, and we need more to help us to get to that next level. And hopefully, the front office is watching this podcast, or people that know people in the front office are watching this podcast and can show our frustration and wanting the Heat to do a little bit better than what they're doing.
Look, we got faith in Riley, man. I know he's definitely trying to always make improvements. So we're not far, man. Like I said, I like the pieces we have. I like Bam, Butler, Hero, Duncan. I mean, we're gonna be all right. Yeah. Like I said, we're just missing a few more dogs on the team, man. Like PJ Tucker will be a great addition, like you say, him. But I can't wait, man. Like I'm pretty sure that he's gonna make a push though, and I expect them to go on a good winning streak just to separate themselves and try to get back into the top of the East.
And we'll see. And again, the East is never guaranteed, even though the Nets are looking, great on offensive wise, defensive wise, they're not looking that too hot. But then you have Milwaukee. Milwaukee is always, looking, got some key pieces in Milwaukee that they're looking a little bit better than last year. Sixers are looking, great. But again, you never know with the Sixers because they look great in the season. And when it comes playoff time, we all know what happens on playoff time with Sixers.
Exactly.
So it's just been a crazy year in the NBA, and especially if you're looking at the standings, then you see Toronto and us at the bottom of the standings, and you're like, man, these guys, we're up there in the standings, and especially Toronto that even though they lost Serge Ibaka and some other pieces, but there's still that that fighting dog, and they still got Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet and Siakam. So you're kind of like wondering what's going on over there. But again, this whole season and it's been crazy with the COVID and people being out. So you just gotta pray and hope and pray that that he can figure it out and start rattling off some wins to bring us back to the playoff picture.
No, they will. I'm not even worried because the East is deep, but there's nobody that I'm really afraid of. Like the Nets. The Nets are awesome on offense, but you always have a chance because the defense is horrible. There's no way around it. You know what I mean? So, as long as you can, like, they might average, like, they'll score like 127, but shit, they're giving up 124. So it doesn't matter if they're scoring 137. Man, they're giving up like 130. Like a lot of games are close. Like they're not covering.
Yeah,
they're not covering. I mean, even against bad teams, like whatever the spread is, they're not covering the spread. And that's all you got to know when you have Durant, Harden, and Irving. There's no way you shouldn't be blowing people out. Like I tell people, when the Heat had the big three, we were killing people.
Yeah.
But we played D. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We played defense. We were killing people. But the Nets are awesome, but they're not blowing nobody out.
Yeah. And talking about covering, I just want to put this, disclaimer out there. If you're ever iffy on a bet and you need some inside information, you talk to Duncan. This man is a betting machine. He likes to bet on college games, NFL, football. Football, basketball, whatever the case may be. I think I heard you betting hockey one day, and you're winning. So if you need some help, just hit us up on Instagram. Ask Duncan what he thinks. Now, don't hold it against him if they do lose, because it's betting is betting. But if you need some, encouragement on, or want to place a bet and need some inside information, hit us up on the Instagram, and then I'll have Duncan reply to you and let you guys know what his picks and what he thinks of the games. So we're gonna start doing that too.
Most definitely.
All right. So my last topic that we're gonna discuss, NFL draft is almost here. We're gonna talk about the newest mock draft, and we're not gonna go to every pick, but we're gonna talk about two of the teams that we like, and we're gonna talk about the Dolphins and the Cowboys. So the latest mock draft that came on Bleacher Report got the Dolphins picking third overall. They're getting Jamar Chase from LSU. And with their 18th pick, getting Najee Harris, the running back from Alabama. Okay.
I love that.
You love the picks? So you rather have Jamar Chase over Devontae Smith? That's a tough one.
It's tough because Jamar Chase didn't play. He opted out this year, but he did win the Biletnikoff last year, and everybody had him better than Jefferson this year, who won like Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jefferson had a hell of a season with the Minnesota Vikings, but Jamar Chase, man, Jamar Chase lit it up that year, with Joe Burrow. It's splitting hairs, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
I kind of like Jamar. I like Jamar Chase a little better just to be a number one. I feel like he's not that much big, or he's a little more thicker than Smith. Smith's kind of skinny. He's like 174. Chase is like 6'1", 200. He can fly. I think he's faster than Smith. Smith probably he's a better route runner a little bit, but it just depends on what you like. But I don't think you're gonna lose either way. Smith, Chase I'll be happy with either one, but I think the Dolphins, it would serve them well to get either Chase or Smith at number 3, get Harris on the first round pick, and surround Tua with some weapons, and I'll take it from there, man.
So I think these are great picks for the Dolphins, and again, they need to offensive the power. But when do you start? On the second round, are you searching for that lineman that you desperately need to protect Tua, or are you still going offense in the second round?
You know what? I wouldn't mind trading down, to be honest, to get an extra, because the Dolphins have a third pick. Somebody's going to want another quarterback, right after
Lawrence and Fields.
Fields,
Oh, and they got Wilson. They got this guy Wilson from BYU.
BYU
now.
Yeah, so they're kind of flip-flopping. So if I was the Dolphins, if I could trade down a few spots, because I don't believe Smith is going to go like top 5 or would go top 5. I feel like he'll still be there like 7 or 8, but I would trade back a few spots if I could, try to acquire some more picks. But definitely I would go offense with those first round picks, and then the second round I would go offensive line, and if there was a good safety available, I would definitely grab them to go with X and Jones.
Yeah, and the Dolphins defense last year was great, but why not make it even better with a good safety coming out of the draft? And if you put a great safety right next to Byron Jones and X, and I feel like I felt like every time I watch a Dolphins game this past year, there's an interception, turnover. They're creating havoc on the defensive side, and I think that the one thing that they're missing is offensive pieces. But if you can go and just make the defense a little bit better than last year, why not?
Yeah, or even a real good pass rusher. They really need a good guy off the edge to just create some havoc. But I know the scouting department is looking at some people. But yeah, first round, I would just try to get those weapons, man. After that, I'll pretty much take the best player available. That's probably the way I would go. Depending.
Yeah, I would do too. So, and then we're just going to talk about the Dallas pick. They have Dallas taking the cornerback from Virginia Tech, Khalil Farley, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
So we discussed this before. I like the pick, but if Patrick Surtain is there, I think Patrick Surtain might be just as good, maybe a little bit better, and bringing him and Diggs on the opposite sides. Now I believe that Khalib's a little bit taller, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
But he took a year off. He didn't play this past year. So again, you're wondering that taking that year off, how much did they lose? What a step on the off season, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna go with the guy that played. And I like Patrick Surtain, to be that dog for and another corner for the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think?
Yeah, not Surtain's better. I would take him. I would, he has the pedigree too. His dad was really good. Saban is great with coaching up corners and safeties. All the way from Minka to, you got Marlon Humphrey with the Ravens. A lot of good DBs come from Alabama. So I'm not worried. I would go. Surtain is a safer pick. I think he's better man or zone. Big body still. He's like 6'1", 2 something. So yeah, I would go that route. I wouldn't take a chance with Farley.
And we'll see, in the war room Dan Quinn what he's feeling, and they're gonna be. I don't know if they're still gonna be doing like in-person interviews, but they might do some virtual interviews, and it's all like those interviews really tell you about somebody, and especially their knowledge of the game, and it all comes down to that because a lot of people, like you said, man, they were so good in college, but it was a scheme that they're running. And they're not really that student of the game. And when you see people that come from undrafted or like 5th or 6th round and stuff like that, they didn't have the scheme, but they're a student of the game and they learn quickly. And that's why, you see some people like first rounders are a bust, here and there, is because of that. And we'll see with this interview process and who the Cowboys like. But I told you, a few days ago, after them getting a corner, I want them to get the safety from UCF. I believe Grant is his name. I saw highlights of him, just his instincts, and he doesn't. It's not gifted to like the turnovers are like not gifted like a tip ball and he's like 10 yards back and he's catching it and then he got an interception. Well, technically it was an overthrow, tip ball. That's not really no. This guy in his highlights, he's getting the interceptions. He's going and going up and getting the interceptions and creating forced fumbles. And he's a willing tackler too, which as having him. I think he was playing free safety at UCF. I think he'll be the exact same way with the Dallas Cowboys. Because we already have that thumper in Wilson, which Wilson came out of nowhere. And I think Wilson will play more down in the box and, trying to help stop the run and have, if we were to get Grant, have him as a free safety. What do you think the Cowboys should do? Like after getting, saying that, Patrick Surtain with the 10th overall pick, who do you think they need to go after more? What do you think they need to address more?
I think we need to address the safety position. We've been putting that off for the longest. I mean, we haven't had a good safety since Darren Woodson, so.
Yeah.
Because.
You didn't like Heath?
Nah. We've been weak back there. for the longest. Even since Woodson, I think we only had like Roy Williams, and he only played down in the box. Remember him back in the day from
Yeah,
Texas?
yeah.
From the Oklahoma Sooners. My bad. But yeah, no, we haven't had a good safety, well, free safety, long time. So yeah, I mean, but they definitely should address that because our front isn't horrible. We have pretty good edge rushers. We have Alden Smith. We have Randy Greg. Yeah, we got Randy outside. We got Lawrence. I would like a better D tackle to try to get some push, but maybe the dude from Oklahoma maybe he steps up, in his second year.
Gallimore. Yeah,
Yeah, Gallimore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my thing, and I agree with you. I think that we need to beef up the interior, but not just beef up, like where you're just like a solid object there. No, I want like beef, but with some agility to still rush a passer. And
Right,
I don't think we have
you want kind of like the Warren Sapp type, somebody that's kind of quick, to play that little three technique. But it all depends on what Quinn's running. I know Quinn usually runs the three, so I don't know if he's going to try to have something similar what he had in Seattle. At one point, the Atlanta Falcons defense had some good pieces. They had Neal and they had Trufant at a corner. They had a lot of ballers on different levels. You could tell it. You could tell he was trying to recreate not necessarily LOD. I mean the LOB, but he was he was trying to build that defense up. But we just need certain pieces, man. And I know our secondary is kind of lacking. So hopefully Diggs can make a full recovery. Like you said, we could add somebody like Pat Surtain. And we need a safety, man. Most definitely. You need somebody back there who can erase some mistakes.
Yeah. And I think with the Cowboys' historically bad defense this past year, they got a little bit better towards the end. But our main thing was we couldn't stop the run. And teams were just running all over us. And you can see with like Washington was running all over us, and then like they'll play Tampa Bay, and they only gain like 50 yards and so on and so forth. So I think defensive wise, we need they need to focus on that on the draft. Offensive wise, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are set on the offensive side. I think what they need to address, and maybe in like this third or fourth round, is an offensive lineman or bring in somebody because Tyron Smith has been more of on the injured list as of late, and he's getting up there in years. So you need to start finding his replacement. La'el Collins comes back, and even La'el Collins is still young, but we'll see how he comes back from that hip injury. And Zach Martin. I mean, Zach Martin's not he's getting up there in years, but I think you saw what Zach Martin did this past year. He was only one from the original other than Calvin Williams, but he held his own, and you saw a difference when he was in the lineup. But we talked to you, and I know that your frustration of the Cowboys offense of not putting up as much points that we should with all the players that we have. But again, I think it goes to the coaching and the offensive, coaching scheme with Kellen Moore being more conservative approach to start the games, and then we're behind the eight ball because our defense can't really stop anybody.
Right.
I think with this offseason, and Mike McCartney needs to talk to Kellen Moore and start encouraging to let's blow this thing out of the water in the first quarter of the game and start being more aggressive, because you don't really see that until they're down by 14, and then you see these plays and stuff like that you're like, oh, okay, why are they running this in the first quarter?
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, we got too much talent, man, to be falling behind game after game, and like I said, I know our defense played horrible this year. I mean, like I said, record setting. But I know we got to be somewhere in the middle, because last year we were ranked 11. You don't go from 11 to last, and we really didn't have that many changes. We just lost, Byron Jones to the Dolphins. But our
which
personnel,
which was a big loss at that.
it
At the point,
was, but still not to make that big of a a dip.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So I was like, nah, I don't feel like we're as bad as we were, but just going from changing schemes, changing the coaching staff. We went to Mike Nolan. Yeah, I expect us to bounce back, and we just need to be more aggressive early. Like I said,
I think it sucks for Mike Nolan because of the offseason that he had with COVID and the virtual. But what grew frustrating with the Cowboys is like Mike Nolan didn't really adjust during the season or adjust in games. Now I would give him credit, like he was calling some of the correct calls as a corner blitz, and then the corner's running right past the running back. I think that was the Cleveland Browns game that our corner was running right past the running back, and I'm like, yo, and then he's calling the correct plays, but the players weren't making them. So I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be it's exciting because I don't know about you, but I'm excited during the season, but I'm excited during all season on what's gonna happen. Like who we're gonna get and stuff like that. So that's why I love about the off season. And please, Dallas Cowboys, can you stop playing with our emotions and just sign Dak already? I mean, this going back and forth and tagging them and stuff like that. I think I don't know if I heard something about they might be waiting to see how big the salary cap goes and then offer him a contract. But man, this guy, to me, I think he deserves it. He's done nothing but win when he's come in the league. Last year he was about to record-setting numbers, break some records there, but unfortunately he got injured. The only thing I'm cautious about with Dak right now is he going to be that same running Dak now? Because what made us very explosive was his legs when he used to that zone read and he used to keep the ball and then get 10 to 15 yards off of that. So we'll see if that comes back. But the one player that I'm excited to get back, and it sucked that he got hurt and tore his ACL the first game of the year, is Blake Jarwin, our tight end. Man, this guy, he couldn't catch a break. The first year in the league, he came out, he was doing good, but he was stuck behind Jason Witten that you're not going to see the field with Jason Witten. But every time that Blake Jarwin was in the game, he got 15 to 20 yards every catch, and he's a blocking tight end, and he's faster than Dalton Schultz and our other tight ends. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited for this offseason, but hopefully the Dallas Cowboys can get back to their winning ways, and I know we get a lot of flack for being Cowboys fans. I know I get the more flack because I'm more of an optimistic and you're more of a realistic Dallas Cowboys fan. Because I always say they're going to win the Super Bowl, which most of us Cowboys fans do say that. But we'll see what happens this offseason.
Well, look, we have enough talent that we should be one of the top teams in the NFC. I firmly feel like that. I feel like we can compete with anybody. We got enough talent, man, that I'm really not scared of any team, man. I'm not. Yeah. I'm really not, because our offensive line, when healthy, was one of the best. I know we have to kind of inject a little youth in there, but a team like Tampa Bay, I wouldn't have been scared of them with prime offensive line. We got Zeke, we got receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we can just get our shit together, I feel like we can get with anybody. But it's either one year we have a good defense and our offense ain't scoring, or vice versa. It's just one of them things, man. So I need them to get their shit together. But we're gonna see. But I'm encouraged. I mean, we can't play any worse than we played this year. So I definitely know we should have a way better season this year for big Dallas, man. So
yeah. So
I ain't worried.
Yeah, we shall see. But hey, that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. all the way. I know we touch up a lot of subjects, but next week we should be doing more of NBA and draft talk because once the season starts, the draft starts coming closer. All these mock drafts, and we gotta ask everybody for their reaction and if we like them, and stuff is gonna pop up here and there. So, but we are gonna be continuously putting out weekly videos. It's not just a NFL podcast; it's more of an all sports podcast. And we should be doing some boxing when some interesting boxing matches come, because we're not
Oh
talking
yeah.
about these ones with YouTubers and stuff like that. So when interesting boxing matches and other stuff come up, we'll be putting on. But thank you guys for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the page. Thanks for Duncan. Man, it's great to have you on here. Your insight, what you're putting out there, stuff like that. I love it. You're a stats guy, and you know people, and especially people what college they went to, and so on and so forth. And you're just awesome, and it's great to have you on. And I can't wait to the fans to hear you. So thank you for being on, and we'll see you again next time. So
For
again,
sure, for
this is
sure,
Jose and Dunk from Big Meat Sports, and we'll see you next time.
for sure.